and welcome to We Want Picks. Jacob and I are going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 65 fight card, giving you our predictions, our picks, and our bets. And nobody knows how to spell Spivac or Sergey. Every single website, Sergey is spelled different and Spivac, just in case you didn't notice. And what a beaut she is, Clark. These are our results the last 2 weeks. Jacob and I absolutely crushed UFC 281. He was up units. You were up like 20, something stupid.
It's been like 20 a week. It's been pretty insane.
It has been. What you're looking at on the screen is unreasonable. It's very unreasonable how well we've been doing with our bets. I'm up a handful of units. Jacob is up insane units. Jacob normally goes live for Fight Companions. He didn't, but was still tweeting bets, still throwing bets in the Discord live. Those are up. Prize Picks has been hitting. Monkey Knife Fight has been hitting. Underdog has been hitting. 2 weeks in a row, the premium member only parlay hit. I did the math. You're up 10 units if you followed UFC Vegas 64 and UFC 281's premium member parlay. And in order to get that, you have to be a premium member. So go to WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's only $10 a month. I just showed you like 50 units worth of profit. And if a unit is only $10 for you, I just gave you multiple years of membership for nothing, just off the profit that you've made at WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It is only $10 a month. And if you want $50, all you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit. I'll send you $50. WeOnPicks.com/bets. We are coming off that awesome event. Before we jump into this, did you think that was an early stoppage?
Before we jump into it, I have to address the elephant in the room, and that is, I hope, my hope is that people will respect my privacy and the privacy of my relationship moving forward. Because as everyone knows, Mackenzie Dern announced she was single. I'm sure that me and her are going to start dating fairly soon. It's just bound to happen. So I just hope that, everyone in the chat, the channel, everyone involved just kind of respects our privacy and understand that I will still be, I won't be biased in my picks, her friends, this and that. I'm probably gonna be hanging out with fighters now and this and that and go all that. I still will be partial in my decision making. That will not affect my picks, my bets, or anything like that. So, yes, it hasn't happened yet. Yes, it will happen. Just a matter of time, and I can't wait to get started.
Well, hopefully you can work with her on her takedowns because those are absolutely atrocious.
Oh, I'll take her down.
All right. Well, anyway, before we hop in, Quentin Lazenby says he's up big money these past 2 weeks off of fantasy picks. Heard it here, buy the premium membership. Thank you very much for the $10 donation, Quint. And he's talking specifically about Prize Picks. The streak I'm on with Prize Picks is just so unreasonable. So listen, everything doesn't last forever, but we're going to ride this as long as we're riding it. And we're up so much that, we're good for a little while. And anyway, opening up the UFC Vegas 65 fight card, we have Natalia Silva taking on Tereza Bleda. Natalia Silva's 13-5 overall. She's 5-0 in her last 5. She has not lost a fight since 2017, and she's coming off a phenomenal UFC debut. Tereza Bleda, 6-0 in her career. She is undefeated. She's only 20 years old, and she's making her UFC debut. This is an interesting fight. I think Natalia should smoke Tereza. But with that being said, Tereza's an aggressive grappler. She's very determined. She will come forward. She will do what she needs to get it to the ground. And then once she's on top, she's actually pretty dangerous. Natalia Silva is very good. She's coming off that win over Jasmine Jasudavicius, who I forget her exact credentials, but it's like Canadian national champion or Canadian runner-up wrestler. And Natalia Silva defended 6 takedowns. She had 3 of her own. She looked great in that fight. So I think Natalia sort of hands it to the UFC newcomer here. I am surprised about this matchup because I don't know why you signed somebody so young and so early if you're not trying to build them up. And if you're trying to build her up, you should not be giving her to Natalia Silva in her UFC debut. What do you think, Jackie boy?
Yeah, my favorite part about the Natalia Silva UFC debut was watching the fight and listening to the broadcasts and hearing DC and Dominic Cruz being so amazed by the striking of Natalia. And they were like, oh my God, she hasn't fought in I don't know how long, a couple years. There was no way for Jasmine to know that she was going to be the striker that she was. I can't believe she's developed. Guess who told you guys that she was going to look like that? I did, because I did the deep dive research on her Instagram, and I told you guys that her striking was going to look fantastic. She came out, looked absolutely unbelievable. The people that do this show were like, there's no way to know how we couldn't. I knew. And I told you guys, and I think the exact same thing happens in this fight. Yes, she does have to defend the takedowns. And these are probably going to be more wrestling style takedowns more than Jasmine. Jasmine was a lot of try to get in the clinch and the body locks, and she was able to shed those. I think she's going to have to defend a single leg or a double or two in this fight. I still think she's able to do that. Her footwork is fantastic, and that's going to be the key to her winning this fight. Footwork, in and out, side to side. Bleda is going to be just chasing, and those perfect counter shots should be there all night for Natalia. So I'm very high on Natalia in this fight. I agree, this is a little bit tougher matchup. Bleda is a tough girl. She will have to defend probably a deep single or two in this, and if she can, I think she easily wins. But if she gets put on her back, we'll see what she can offer in her guard.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm just surprised by the matchmaking here, but Sam Pierce with the $2 super chat, y'all looking dummy thick. Thank you for the content. Listen, I'm not as young as Jacob. I assume that's a compliment. Did he call me fat?
Oh, no, you got that dump truck.
All right, I'll take it.
I mean, I've been on the chair showing mine. I don't know if you want to get up on the chair and
thank you.
See, not for $1.99. What will it take?
Not for $1.
What's your price? Because I can donate too, Angelo. I can donate too, Angelo.
Anyway, we both think Natalia wins. Like I said, the matchup's a little bit surprising because I don't know what they're trying to do here. Are you trying to build up Natalia? Give her a little bit of an easier fight. Somebody's not going to be diving at legs. If you're trying to build up your newly signed grappler, Tereza, then give her somebody that she can definitely beat. I don't know what this is, but I'll take it. I like Natalia to win. You like Natalia to win. Do you like her at $8,900 in DraftKings? Which means she probably needs to finish her a good amount of control time.
Yeah, she does a lot of dancing around. I don't think she's really live for a finish. Maybe, if Bleda gets so aggressive that she gets worn out and Silva's able to jump over. She's not going to be a surprise anymore. And that's the other caveat to this, right? Because apparently it was a surprise that she was looking that good. Bleda is going to know what to expect in this fight, so might have a game plan for her. So it's probably a little expensive on the 8,900.
Yeah, I think 8,900 is a bit much. She should win this fight, but I do think it's probably a decision. You might get some grappling out of it. I mean, it's a borderline price point. It's a borderline price point because it's not the 9,300. And if she's getting the takedowns, getting the control, she could look good and score some solid points. The Monkey Knife Fight strike line, if you don't know what that is daily fantasy. You just say more or less than that. And if you're right, you can triple your money. 78 to 62. It's probably a more less situation because in order for Tereza to get to 62, she's going to need the takedowns. I think she might struggle with some of the takedowns, or if she is working the takedowns, she's not going to be striking as much as she should. So I think it's less with Natalia dancing around, probably getting some of her own takedowns. What do we think?
Yeah, I agree with that. This fight could turn into Bleda on a single and just holding for a minute on the cage, and then she circles off it, and then there could be a lot of cage control in this. I don't think she's going to win because of it, because it seems like the judges kind of hate that these days. But yeah, I could see the more or less.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to play that line, but if you want to give it a stab, go to wewantpicks.com/MKF. It is daily fantasy, and they will match your deposit. If you give them $50, they'll give you 50. You give them 100, they'll give you 100. Take the free money, play some of these lines, and we have some really good Knockout King entries for this week as well, which is also a Monkey Knife Fight game. You never answered my question. Did you think Izzy was stopped a little early?
I think you got to let the champ go down. We were just talking about that in Discord right before we went live on here. I think you got to let him take a few more shots. I don't think anything was changing, so I don't think it really matters. And the devil's advocate is what if he gets flatlined like Usman in one of those extra shots that he's taking? Now he's all of a sudden, now his whole career is now changed because he just got flatlined instead of TKO'd. So I think he probably let it go a little bit more, but I don't think anything was changing. Do you think anything was changing? I don't think anything was changing.
I don't think anything was going to change. And there was minutes left. There wasn't seconds left. So I don't think anything was changing. And frankly, I like the controversy. Good. Let's see it again. You know what I mean? Where if it was a clean one-punch knockout done, it'd be a little harder to get excited for it. But now we got the whole argument. You know what I mean? We're going to watch the hype video of Izzy rocking him. And then Pereira, was it early? Was it not? So I'm all good, man. I will watch that fight again. I'll pay for the pay-per-view. And the fact that he wasn't flatlined just makes it an even better show next time around.
No, that is a good point. I haven't heard anybody say anything like that. And the headline I saw, which was like insane, was Izzy was quoted as saying the strategy for him was I was waiting for him to get tired and then I was going to do my thing. It's like, what the fuck?
I don't think he actually said that. Did he actually say that?
Yeah, that was actually what he said. Like, you are the champ coming in, you're waiting for somebody to get tired so then you can do like you're supposed to just implement. You were the best striker in the UFC. Like, what do you mean you're just waiting for him to get tired? That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And very disappointing.
I have credit to him. I've heard him say the stoppage was early, but he's also been like, I don't fault Mark Goddard. He's a good ref. It's not his fault. It is what it is. So it's like, all right, at least he's not, I give him a lot of credit for how he took that.
Well, he's had practice. That's the third time that's happened. So he's pretty good at taking losses to Alex.
Those are my favorite memes, are just Izzy doing new sports and Alex just standing there with that Terminator face.
The best one I saw today is the video of what's his name when he's in the boat and Klitschko is like paddleboarding. And it's like, this is Alex chasing down Izzy. I don't know if you've ever seen that video. I can't remember who it was in the boat, but he's like, I found you, champ. I'm after you, champ. And it's just Klitschko just paddleboarding. They start circling him in a boat as he's just yelling at him. And Klitschko's just like, what the fuck is going on? I found you, champ. I'm always going to be here, champ.
Yeah, I mean, it's as UFC fans, this is nothing but good news. You want rematches. You want big fights. You want controversy. That's what gets you excited for these things. Speaking of excited, I could not be more excited for Brady Hiestand taking on Fernie Garcia at UFC Vegas 65. Brady Hiestand 5-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He is coming off a split decision loss in his UFC debut, and he's taking on Fernie Garcia, who's 10-2. Fernie is 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off a loss in his official UFC debut. And it should be an interesting fight because Fernie Garcia is a well-rounded guy. He's got a lot of pressure in his striking. He can counter-strike as well. Typically, when he's on the wrong side of a striking exchange, he can grapple. He'll drop, he'll shoot, he'll look to grapple. He is coming off that loss to Journey Newsome, where he said a million times going into that fight, I'm going to wrestle. I'm going to use my wrestling. And he didn't. And it was frustrating, and that's what cost him that fight. Brady Hiestand, on the other hand, is coming off the loss to Ricky Turcios, where he did wrestle. He had 6 takedowns, 8 minutes of control time, but he still somehow got outstruck 82-201. There's only 15 minutes in a fight. He spent 8 of them in a control position, and he still had his strikes more than doubled, which is not great. Somebody commented that his knee was blown out in that fight, and he didn't get surgery, and he needed... I have no idea, but Brady Hiestand's a dominant grappler. Fernie Garcia should have grappled in his last fight and didn't. I still think Brady's going to win this. Because if he has any of the pressure and any of the takedown volume that he had against Ricky, he should blow through Fernie, get the takedowns, get the control, just ride high and stay safe. So Brady's going to be the pick here. I'll probably play a couple of more on takedown prop bets, whether through Bet Online or Prize Picks, but for sure I'm going Brady here. I think you're on the other side, right?
I am not, but I0 had a good point in the Discord. If you look at Brady's 5 wins, they are against people with a combined record of literally like 2 and like 30 or something like that. I think one of them's like 0-6, one of them's 1-12, one of them's 0-5. So he's winning those fights, but this is a guy that hasn't really been tested. But with that said, against a, kind of dangerous dude in Pretty Ricky, a weird guy to fight, he did hold his own, right? It's not like he came in, fought a UFC caliber guy, he got steamrolled. He, like you said, he got the takedowns. He was looking good, looking like at least he knew what he was doing in there, not some like just regional bum. But this is a test for him. I mean, this is a test versus a guy that Fernie Garcia is mostly a boxer in my mind. You mentioned the takedowns. I see him as kind of a poor man's Adrian Yanez. I mentioned that, I think, in my breakdown video, my quick pick video yesterday. A lot of boxing, not a lot of kicks. So in the stand-up, it's just hands, hands, hands. I think he's probably the more dangerous guy in this matchup, where Brady, you saw him kind of get tired in that Pretty Ricky fight. The reason he was getting tired is because Pretty Ricky is like absolutely, that guy is nonstop. You try and take him down, he is nonstop on the ground. So Brady was constantly trying to control positions, control positions, control positions. If Brady can get a takedown on Fernie, I think he's able to kind of relax and control the positions a little bit more than he did against Pretty Ricky, and that's where I see his path to victory. But I don't love it. I don't love the competition he's fought. I don't like his, his overall athletic abilities as far as like an MMA complete fighter. I like his wrestling in this fight. Yeah. But if Fernie comes in, stuffs a couple takedowns, and this turns into a boxing match, I'm going to take Fernie 100%. So my pick is Brady for the wrestling. But I put a bet on Fernie, and that's for the premium members. You guys can become a premium member. WeWantPicks.com, only $10 a month. And you can see kind of the bets I've been sprinkling. And, it's kind of one of those underdog plays I'm looking at a little bit. I think Fernie's the dog, right? Yeah, I think he's the dog.
He is the dog. Yeah, a medium-sized dog.
Yeah, plus 140 now. Yeah.
And thank you, Pepe. Pepe Sylvia, with the $20 super chat. Rounding up for you, bud. With the $20 super chat, Black Beast by Bear Hug Submission. We're not on that fight yet. Thank you very much for the super chat. We are not on that fight yet, but it's not ridiculous.
Bear hug versus a polar bear. That's a little like double entendre there.
Well, and it's not absurd that he wins by just some weird Superman strength type nonsense. That's not completely out of the question.
One of the best videos ever is jiu-jitsu does not work on Derek Lewis.
Yeah, he just
bench presses people off. Like he's on like a deep Kimura, and he's like, nope. It just shoves them off.
No, I mean, we'll break down that fight in a few minutes. Pepe, thank you very much. Genuinely appreciate it. And Oliver, we
love Oliver.
Silver-tongued, I think you're British with a name like Oliver. 3 months of membership. Thank you very much. Jacob, thoughts on Angelo being built like a Teletubby? I didn't see that part. I wouldn't have pinned this.
What Teletubby do you think you'd be? Are you a Teletubby? Do you know the Teletubbies? You got kids, so I don't know if they still do the Teletubby thing or not.
I have kids. You know what? You know what I've been listening to all day.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the guy that was like, your Instagram shouldn't be private. There is some weirdo that's determined to see pictures of my children on Instagram. But you know what soundtrack or songs I've been listening to? You're not going to know. JoJo Siwa on freaking loop. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to come back like a boomerang. That's all I hear from my girls.
What's the rest of it? Keep singing. I actually might know it. Keep going.
Dun, dun, dun. Don't you come back like a boomerang? The haters can't keep you down. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to come back.
I think I know it. Keep going.
Like a boomerang. Dun, dun, dun. Don't you know? You get it? Pull up the spot. If you had Shazam, that would have been it. Anyway.
Do people do that? Is that still a
thing? I'm not a Teletubby. That's that. I like Brady. You like Brady. I think he's worth $8,500 for sure. All those takedowns, all that control time. Even in a loss, he scored really well in his last fight. It's not great. Just hitting those notes really ripped my throat to shreds.
You need some honey and some tea. That's what I do before I sing for all my women.
When I'm it sure will. When I'm losing my voice, I go hot toddy. Especially now that I live in the South. Big hot toddy fan. You know what hot toddy is?
There was a song.
What are we doing?
There's a hot toddy song. I mean, there's a hot toddy song. I'm trying to remember it. I mean, that was like, I think it's like an Usher song. I think it's Usher says something about hot toddy. It was a banging song too. If I think of it, oh boy, we're in for a treat.
There we go. This is why they want us on Spotify so bad, which we are, by the way. If you want to listen to us instead of watch us, Do you agree with Brady in DraftKings because of the takedown and control potential?
It is a song by Usher. Oh, called Hot Toddy.
Can you just answer the question while you pull up your Spotify?
I don't give a shit at this point. Now I just want to listen to the song, but now we will get rocked if I listen to it.
Yeah, we sure will. DraftKings.
Oh. What was the question?
Is Brady worth $8,500? I said he is.
No.
What do you mean no? All those takedowns? All that control?
I have a bet on Fernie, so I'm not real high on a guy that has 5 wins against people that are 2-30 combined. So
I got to see how many points he scored against Ricky in a loss. Anyway, they're asking me to put your quick pick video on Spotify. You need to send me the file. I'll do it. You need to send me the file though, which then complicates this whole thing. Actually, maybe I can download it from YouTube. I'll figure it out. Monkey Knife Ice Strike Line, I'm not going to touch it. Because if Brady's getting all the takedowns, all the control, how the hell is Fernie going to get the 42? But Brady was also hit in the face 200 times in a fight where he had takedowns and control. So I'm not going to touch.
Is that
Monkey
short
Knife
for
Fight.
something?
What?
Fernie? Or is that just a name?
I think it's his name.
Have you met a Fernie before? It's Fernando. That makes sense. Okay.
I've never met a Brady.
Huh? Brady Quinn?
I know the guy.
Probably should.
No Brady's. Guys, go to WeWantPicks.com/bet. Sign up. Make a deposit. We'll send you $50 as a thank you. Quentin Lazaby gifted a membership. Whoever gets that, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
James Cameron got that.
James Cameron, congrats. Thanks for the movies, man. Appreciate it. Next up at UFC Vegas 65, we have Vanessa Demopoulos taking on Maria Oliveira. Vanessa Demopoulos 8-4 overall, 3-2 in her last 5. She is riding a nice 2-fight win streak. She's taking on Maria Oliveira 13-5 overall, 3-2 in her last 5, and she is coming off that controversial win over Gloria DePaul. A lot of people think she lost that fight. Maria Oliveira is tall, long, solid striker. She's got really solid kicks, and she uses them for damage. Nice, solid power will blast away. Decent takedown defense at 45%, but she was completely manhandled by Tabitha Ricci. And Vanessa Demopoulos, she can strike. She's not a striker, but she can strike. She's definitely a grappler. If you remember, she got dropped and then immediately threw up an armbar against Silvana Gomez Juarez in that win. And she's coming off that win over Jinyu Fry, where we saw her. What's your problem? Oh. She didn't get cut yet.
Juarez got cut today.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate because...
Sad to see those go.
It's unfortunate because that was a decent fight. It was a good fight. Like, she didn't, oh, well.
And technically, she kind of won. I think she won that fight, right? With the judges' scorecards.
Very sketchy scorecard situation. They're saying, well, we just changed it from a split to a unanimous. Very sketchy situation. Anyway, Vanessa's coming off that win over Jinyu Fry, where she had a takedown, 4 minutes of control time. But what's really nice about that is she knew it was a very close fight and went in there, won that fight. She poured it on to win the fight, showed some fight IQ, showed some grit. Showed some toughness. I like Vanessa to win. I did throw a half a unit money line bet on her. I got it at plus 100. Plus 100 means you double your money. If you give them $50, they give you 100 back. So I just threw that out there. I think Vanessa can win this fight. I only did a half a unit because I was like, you know what? Plus money. She's not going to be the better striker, but she can strike, and she'll definitely be the better grappler. So I went that route. I don't recommend following, but we'll see what happens. What do you think?
Yeah, Vanessa's going to be pretty a favorite for, I think, a lot of people for like the lock of the week and underdog plays and this and that. And Vanessa by submission. And she is tough. I mean, I'll give it to her. I mean, she is very, very tough, and she is well-versed on the ground, whether on top or off her back, as you saw and as you mentioned with that armbar versus Juarez, bounce back off of getting knocked down. The difference in this fight is Maria is the better striker. Very, very long. It's going to be tough for Vanessa to she doesn't have, sometimes she has pretty good takedowns. If she can time takedowns, she has good takedowns. But if she has to work for takedowns, not very good takedowns. I think in this fight, she has to work for takedowns. Maria can get taken down when she's over aggressive. That's kind of how Tabitha Ricci got her down, was just the over aggression, perfectly timed, double, boom. But every time Ricci got her to the ground, she was able to kind of scramble back to her feet. And Ricci actually was in full man at one point, threatening an arm bar, which is kind of the Vanessa special, and Maria didn't panic, knew how to get out of it, got back to her feet to that fight. She lost that fight, but I just don't see the same grappling prowess of Vanessa as Tabitha Ricci, and Tabitha Ricci still struggled in that fight versus Maria at times with the length, with the scrambles for Maria. So I think Maria is able to keep this fight standing for the most part, and if she gets taken down, she can get right back to her feet. Obviously, Vanessa is tough and is going to be live always whenever she fights, especially women's MMA, because there's not a lot of, gaps in talent. A lot of these girls are right there the same with these girls, but I'm going to take Maria in what I think is going to be a mostly standing matchup. Her length and her striking should have the advantage, so I'm Maria, but I don't love it. It's one of those things.
Yeah, and I only threw look at Vanessa's takedown accuracy, 7%. Yeah, that's not great. I only threw that bet up there. I did a half a unit. I'm like, plus 100 means I can double my money here. I do think Vanessa's the better fighter, and I just loved that in her last fight, she poured it on. Like, she won that fight. It was a close fight. She could have lost the decision, and she just was not willing to accept that. She literally went out there, put it all out there, and then took that fight. So seeing that, I appreciate that, and I know she'll fight for my money, so I threw a half a unit at it. Then we got Lymph. $2 super chat. He wants a Borat impression. Very nice. Very nice. I don't know. You gonna?
No.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna dance when people tell me to dance.
I shouldn't have either. I should have just not done it or done it. That middle of the road.
Commit. If you're gonna commit, you got to commit. Let's see the G string.
And then Patrick Shelley, been a member for 5 months, said it's the best 5 months of his entire life. Well, we appreciate you.
Patrick is that's your replacement. Me and Patrick we hold hands throughout the live streams and we make everyone gabillions.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Patrick. We appreciate the support. Luis Perez just became a premium member. We appreciate your support as well. Poke around. There's an enormous amount of content on there. I know we talk about the picks, the bets, but we also do round lines. There's the DraftKings Optimizer, prize picks, underdog, monkey knife fight, all sorts of exclusive content. So enjoy that. Thank you for the support. Jakey boy, you like Maria enough for DraftKings? Say no.
Nah, probably not. They always say that the 8 and the 82 is usually an optimal lineup. It's probably the Vanessa side if it's anything. When I look at Vanessa, you mentioned the 7% takedown accuracy. She doesn't force takedowns. It's not like one of those jiu-jitsu girls or jiu-jitsu like you saw Claudio Puelles, where he's just like just desperate for the takedowns. I actually think that she should kind of force that issue a little bit more, honestly, when she gets close in range, but she doesn't, and when she does, it's not great. But as far as DraftKings, Vanessa's probably the better side.
Yeah, well, because she's not really a finishable person. She's incredibly tough. So Maria's, if Maria wins, she'll probably win a striking decision. And Vanessa's got the upside for the finish, considering how many she has. You mentioned the Claudio Puelles thing. I said in my quick picks or in the recap video, that was just pathetic. He looked like a dog cleaning dingleberries on the carpet. Well,
the best part about that whole thing is the leading up to it. DC a number of times was like, who's that guy? Ryan Hall. He's like, Claudio is not like Ryan Hall, who is just desperate for the takedowns. Is just trying to he is not like Ryan Hall. He will actually shoot singles, shoot double, this and that. And then the first thing he does is do an Imanari roll. And I was like, oh my God. And I sent out a tweet that said, if he lands an Imanari roll into a heel hook, I will fire up the stream and do heroin live on stream. The next second, he Imanari rolled into a heel hook and almost got it. I was losing my mind. It was going to be Ryan Hall 2.0. I was so excited. Every time he rolled, I got harder and harder. I loved every second of it. They need to do Claudio Puelles and Ryan Hall. I understand it's 145, 155. They need to find a way to get that done because that would just be incredible fight.
It was top 5 most pathetic things I've ever seen. And Thomas Kane talking about he's not as bad. Dude, that was such a trash performance. And Thomas, you commented on some videos and they're a disaster. Read before you hit post. They literally make no sense. There's the random letters inside of words. A hot mess. Clean it up. Hot mess.
Well, maybe English isn't his first language. We're an international channel.
We actually are. English is definitely Tomas. It could be Tomas. Tomas Kane. Anyway, Monkey Knife Fight strike line. Man, I'm not going to touch that line because 82 is super high for Maria. So I'm not going to touch that strike line. What are you going to do?
More. Vanessa's going to push the pace, get in her face. She's going to be eating jabs all the way in. It's more. If it was significant strikes, no. But if it's, total strikes, I like that.
Sure. Yeah, this is, and Monkey Knife Fight is total strikes. If you like that, go to wewantpicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit. Take that very free money. Play the more and more here before this line moves, and you could double your money, triple your money, depending on how you play it. You can string a few of them together and 25 times your money. wewantpicks.com/MKF. Alberto celebrates 2 months of membership. Great insight, great content. Winning more money. Thank you very much,
you like
Alberto. Much appreciated.
Alberta.
Next up, at UFC Vegas 65, we have Ricky Turcios taking on Kevin Natividad. Ricky Turcios is 11-3 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off that low-volume loss to Ayman Zahabi. Kevin Natividad is 9-3 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off 2 knockouts in a row. And what's interesting about this fight is Ricky's last fight. So Ricky's normally a high-volume guy. He comes forward, he throws a million strikes, never stops. The pressure's there, the volume's there. Except in his last fight, he had none of that. There was no volume, no pressure. He was just shockingly low, and it cost him the fight. Before that, he beat Brady Hiestand, who we broke down earlier. He was taken down 6 times, gave up 8 minutes of control time, and still landed 200 strikes. Still landed 200 strikes, but in his last fight, not so much. Kevin Natividad is a Hawaiian tough fighter. He is a grappler, which typically, you'll see those Hawaiians. They're very good strikers. They're super tough. Kevin's more of a grappler than a striker. He unfortunately has been getting put out on his feet because he's a step behind in the grappling. But he is relatively tough. His path is going to be the grappling. And so far in the UFC, though, he's had a rough go. He's matched up with Miles Johns, who's a good wrestler, and then Danam Bagarai, who hits ridiculously hard. If I didn't see Ricky's last fight, he would absolutely be the pick. I would just expect him to come forward, throw a million strikes, and just keep Kevin sort of, backing up at bay, not being able to settle in. But Ricky's last fight, man, he didn't do much, and he doesn't have wrestling to offer up as a backup plan. So I'm still going to pick Ricky here, but I'm not nearly as high on him as a lot of other people are. He is not a parlay piece for me. What do you think?
I actually love Pretty Ricky in this matchup. You did mention his last fight. There was actually a surprise stat after the first round of that last fight because he was pressing forward. He was just faint. I mean, throwing a lot of stuff out there. And I can't remember who was on the call. They were like, wait a second. They were like, this dude has landed 3 strikes in the first. That was it. I think in the first round, he landed 3 strikes. I don't know how many he actually threw. But yeah, he mentioned he usually is that wild pressure dude. I think he gets back to it, right? He learned a lesson. He was trying to maybe he was trying to tame it down. I can't remember who his coach is. He a Kraus guy? I don't know. Maybe his coaches were trying to tame him down a little bit, and they paid for it. The low volume, he lost the decision. It is what it is. He actually is a decision fighter, but the way he fights, you would think he would have a lot more finishes because he does some wild stuff on the ground. You saw that in the Brady fight, wild scrambles, wild jiu-jitsu off his back to get back to his feet. And this fight, I think, is a great opportunity for him against a guy that's not super dangerous. As you mentioned, a little bit of a grappler, has gotten flatlined in his last 2 fights. One was a TKO, but the Miles Johns was an absolute flatline. Has not been super active. I actually like Pretty Ricky a lot in this matchup. I think that he can kind of do his thing, get in more of a flow of what he wants to do, be that pressure fighter. And if he finds the chin in one of those wild strikes against Kevin, it's going to be night time for Kevin because we've seen that time and time again his last 2 fights. So I'm pretty high on Pretty Ricky in this fight. I do have a bet on him of some sort. I can't remember what it is, but if you're a premium member, you know what it is. So I'm actually pretty high on pretty Ricky for this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. His last fight just concerns me a little bit, but I do get it. He should win. He's got the volume. He's got the pressure. If he finds some power, he's incredibly dangerous. That last fight worried me a little bit, and I don't know if that was the anomaly or his previous UFC fights was the anomaly. We got a $10 super chat from Alberto. No comment, but thank you very much, Alberto. We appreciate it. Thank you for the $10. Genuinely appreciated. So you like Ricky enough for $8,600 in DraftKings?
I think he'd find a finish. I don't know, even if it's not a knockout. If Brady, or I mean, if Kevin, coming off back-to-back knockout finishes, TKO finishes, whatever you want to call him, tries to wrestle, I think Pretty Ricky's a little bit more dangerous on the ground than people think in scrambles. So maybe we chase a submission. We'll see what we live bet Saturday for the live stream. By the way, these fights start at noon our time, noon Central, so a little bit early start.
I always hate when they're that early, but
I might chase some submission stuff, but I think Pretty Ricky is more of a live favorite than people give him credit for, and more of a live favorite than a lot of people on this card. This card's tough, man. It's hard to find out.
I completely agree with you. This is a much tougher card than I anticipated. And we're coming off UFC 281 was a tough card. And you know what's funny? Some people were like, hey, how did you guys make so much money? Because your picks were just okay. And there's a giant difference between picking a fight and betting on a fight. Massive difference. Because a lot of people hear the picks and then they just go out and spend all of their money on people they think are going to win the fights. But that's not how you make money betting on fights. You got to find your spots, look at the props that make sense. And a perfect example is you and I both picked Israel Adesanya to win. We were clearly both wrong. And both of us made money on that fight. We both had the under on rounds, right? We both said it's going to be under 4.5 rounds, which it was. And then you had Alex Pereira inside a distance decision, no action. So managed to make money on a fight where we got the pick wrong. And that's why it's important to A, listen to the analysis, and B, you don't just take, oh, this person's going to win, let me throw them in a parlay. Because a few of you were commenting on videos, oh, I had so-and-so in a parlay. Why are you having these like mid-level, like don't put Vanessa Demopoulos in a parlay? Why would you do that? Just because I said she wins, don't throw in a parlay, like stuff like that. So you gotta pick your spots, pay attention, listen to the analysis, and then just hunt for the best value on the most likely outcome.
Right. I think that all my picks that I got wrong, I think I made money off them. So it's like, I don't give a shit if my pick are wrong. I saw the value in the underdog, or I saw this, or I saw that. I'll bet against my picks. Yes, I think this person should win, but if the value's on the other side, I'll bet against my picks. I don't give a shit. The picks mean nothing.
I just dumped water all over myself like an idiot.
Put on a little white t-shirt and let's do it again.
I don't know how to drink water apparently. Anyway, did you answer if you're putting Richard in DraftKings?
Pretty Ricky will be on the hotline.
On the line. Wow. And then Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line 91-45. If Ricky looks half as good as he has before his last fight, he should blow past that 91. Kevin's a bit chinny, but he is tough, and Ricky's not really a power guy. So that's probably
I just worry if I just worry if Kevin is going to come in and grind on me, relax your mind, take your time on me. That's Pretty Ricky. So, it works. You didn't get it, but it works.
I did not get it, but now I do because you mansplained it. Thank you for that explanation. And thank you for the $10 super chat. Victor Hedrick, he went to MSG for 281, won all his trip money back on bets. Best card ever. Congrats, Victor. It was very good to all of us. I did see some other channels tweeting their whatever and just a full loss sweep. Like 10 bets on the board, all 10 bets lost. And I don't know how that happens. I think the problem is people get caught up in exact outcomes. Like so-and-so by round 2. And Jacob makes a ton of money. Those are all the winning bets. Like you had Matt Frivola wins by KO in the first. So you made a ton of money on that. But those
I had
were
Trezano by KO in the first. Has plus
and Matt Frivola.
I had Gutierrez in the first. That was plus 575. I had Matt Frivola in the first. That was plus 550. I had in the first Favola was plus 1,400.
Yeah.
I had Dustin by submission. That was plus 800. I mean, it's crazy. Then the parlay hit too, a 4 fight parlay. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes,
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I wonder why, in the grand scheme of things.
There we go.
I just wonder why was I given this gift? And I think it's my duty, because I was given this gift, to share it. I don't want to hoard it. I could easily not do this live show. I could not do this channel, be a millionaire myself, but I was given this gift. I need to share it, and I want to make everyone else millionaires as well. And and we're on our way. I mean, we're on our way. Ask anyone in the chat that's been following the bets the past few weeks and a lot longer than that. We are on our fucking way.
Very Mother Teresa-like of you. We appreciate that. Thank you for your service, Jacob. Genuinely appreciated. Okay. Muscles Mocino over there. Thank you very much.
Big Papa Pump.
Think we're done breaking this fight down. Next up at UFC Vegas 65, we have Miles John taking on Vince Morales. DraftKings will show you that Miles Johns is out of this fight, but there's no news about that anywhere. And Miles John is like tweeting and doing Instagram stories about like on my flight heading over. So I think it's just literally a clerical error at DraftKings, because according to everything, Miles Johns is still fighting Vince Morales, and he's 12-2 overall.
Yeah, we didn't even mention the DraftKings thing. We can mention it after this fight too. They changed their whole thing. Late ads.
Oh yeah, they added DraftKings now allows you, after a card has started, if a fighter drops, they allow you to make a swap. This most recently happened with Chase Sherman versus Josh Parisian. That was canceled after the card started. If you had either one of them, you were screwed. Now you can do those player swaps. So, I mean, it's a feature we've literally been begging for.
Double G's for that. That should be a double G right there.
Double G. Members?
Boom, I put him in there.
You've got the double G emote. Anyway, Miles Johns, 12-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that pretty disappointing loss to John Castaneda. Vince Morales, 11-6 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, and he's coming off that decision loss to Jonathan Martinez. And the reason I said the Miles John loss was disappointing is because he's a very good wrestler who has power in his hands. The problem is he discovered power in his hands. In his first 2 UFC fights, where are the stats? I have them in front of me somewhere. In his first two UFC fights, he had 4 takedowns. Since then, 0. Because he got a couple of knockouts, and he's like, oh, wow, I could do this. This is easier than wrestling. And now he doesn't wrestle. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't do what he's supposed to do to try to win these fights. And that's the problem. And that's why he lost that Sexy Mexi fight. If he went out there, tried to wrestle hard, tried to push forward, he could have potentially won that fight, but he didn't. He didn't use his best tool, which is wrestling, in that fight. And he's fighting Vince Morales. Vince Morales is a decent striker. He's got okay boxing. And if he doesn't have that most technical skill set, he's got good pressure, good volume, and he's always moving, always trying to make something happen. I do think Miles Johns can win this fight because he's got power in his hands and he can wrestle, but he will absolutely need to wrestle. Do not box Vince Morales. He will just lose the boxing exchanges because he's going to be sitting on a big right hand, throwing it, trying to land it, not land it, and then just end up getting jabbed to death. He is coming in on short notice. I don't know what that means for the likelihood of him wrestling or not, but I'm going to lean Miles Johns because while he didn't use wrestling in his last fight, he can win by knockout and he can win with grappling. Whether he's going to use those 2 things effectively or not are the question, but overall he's got more ways to win, so I got to go with him here. What do you think?
Yeah, I picked the opposite, and it just comes down to the short notice because we've seen Miles Johns, especially if he's getting hit and getting pressured, he can't fold under that pressure. He gets a little bit worn down, and it might desperate wrestle at that point against a guy like Vince Morales. Vince Morales is not like an outstanding fighter. He is very good, very well rounded, pretty much everywhere. But he's kind of just one of those guys that's always going to be around. You're always going to see him on fight night cards and the prelims, this and that. He's going to win a couple. He's going to lose. He's going to beat people he shouldn't. Then he's going to lose against people he shouldn't. So he's not like this fantastic fighter. But in this matchup, he should be good enough to withstand the Miles Johns, big right hands, as you mentioned, and maybe even the wrestling. But Miles Johns is the better fighter of the two. So, my pick is Vince, and this is one of those instances. I'm picking Vince Morales. Don't bet Vince. I'm not going to bet Vince Morales in this fight. He is my pick, but Miles Johns is much more live, either to control the fight with his wrestling if he wants to do that, coming off a loss where he probably should have wrestled, or with that big right hand that he likes to throw. I do like the people calling him Baby Yoel in the chat. That's kind of funny. A wrestler that doesn't really wrestle, just wants to throw the right hands. That's kind of what he is. So I might look at something maybe inside the distance for Miles Johns, because if he does land, it is a big, powerful shot. But my pick is Vince. Short notice. I hope he can just kind of withstand stuff, wear him down, and maybe win the second round, third round, and go to a decision. But who knows? I don't know. By the way, lock of the week this week is just absolutely fucked. I don't know what. I have no idea. I've lost all confidence. It's a complete joke. Fade it. Whatever I pick, just fucking fade it. I was gonna pick Vince. Now I'm talking about Vince. It's like he's an absolute joke. I don't know. I just draw it out of a fucking hat. I don't know what's going on anymore. It's a joke, guys. Absolute joke.
Well, it's still a great pick if they fade it. Lean into it, man. You're the new Drake. The pick is gonna be wrong. Fade it, dude. Imagine I get it. Drake has a ton of money, but let's say for him $2 million is, I don't know what, a couple hundred for us. I don't know, 100. I don't know how much money he has.
He's got a lot of money. He's hundreds of millions, I would say.
All right, so let's say $2 million for him is $100 for me. I would be pretty fucking annoyed if I was losing $100 every single weekend. It would still be annoying. It's not going to be the difference between having a roof over my head, but it's still annoying. This dude must be furious. Like just a touch.
I don't think it's actually his money. I think stake, because he's the big stake guy. I think they are like, here, say you're betting this, So I think it's a stake thing. So
or they just it's a real bet, but it's their money. They put it in the account. So, which is possible. Anyway, it is funny. I love it. I love how bad, especially because he had Usman as well. I love that it looks like he's finally going to win one. He's finally going to win one. And then, nope, snatched it out from him. Anyway, we got a $5 super chat from Brandon. Saw that big slab of blood snot land on Poirier's face. That was an incredible fight. It absolutely lived up to the hype, even after all of, how could it have lived up to the hype? And it still did.
Do you know what he's talking about, though?
What?
Do you know what he's talking about with that comment? Dustin said he was fighting dirty, and then he said it was also like a
fish hooked him.
Huh?
He was like fish hooking him.
Well, that part, but the snot thing, when he was over top of him, he literally blew his nose, that was his broken nose, into Poirier's face, and they asked Chandler about it. He's like, that wasn't a dirty play. Listen, I needed to breathe. I blew my nose. He's like, I don't control gravity. It was a pretty good line. He's like, I don't control gravity. I couldn't breathe. I needed to blow my nose, and it just landed. He's on the bottom. It just ended up on him. So,
yeah. Well, and
who predicted that fight perfectly, by the way? My tweet literally said, Chandler is live for the early knockout, which he almost got, or he's going to get tired, try to wrestle late, and get submitted. Thank you.
Well, we had Dustin Poirier in the premium member parlay, and if you followed the premium member parlay this week or last week and the week before, all 4 legs hit, you'd be up 10 units, I think, 10.6 units. I forget exactly what the math is, but you'd be up big. So if you want access to this week's UFC Vegas 65 premium member parlay, go to weonpicks.com. At the top, click become a member. You'll unlock all of our bets, all of our picks, everything, including that exclusive premium member parlay.
What do you think Mackenzie's doing right now?
I don't know, but she went out of her way to say she was single, so she's waiting for that was on purpose.
Why do you think she said that? Because she knows that I was going to see the video.
That's what it was. Listen, Miles Johns, I think he's potentially worth $8,400 in DraftKings. I do think he's worth that. Right now, he's locked on DraftKings, so they say he's out. He's not out. He should be fighting, but I do think he is worth that. And Spicy, are you the person who only deposited $25 when you need to deposit $50, and then you just messaged an hour ago saying you finished your deposits? Just got to wait a day or two, let it flow through the system, but anybody who uses the link and signs up and does what they're supposed to do gets paid, I assure you. Speaking of getting paid,
I've been single for a while now, a few months, and everything's good. We're taking care of our daughter.
Sorry. I thought I muted. Jesus Christ.
I would have loved if the next one was like
Pornhub.
a jerkmate ad. Just anyway, Joe Todoro, $5 super chat. Join We Want Picks. Best decision you can make. Trust me. Thank you, Joe. Joe is very appreciated. True OG. Joe won himself $65,000, something like that, in DraftKings. Very good. Big man. $8,400 in DraftKings. I do think Miles Johns is worth that.
Probably.
Thank you.
What do you
much.
think? If this wasn't, I mean, he is the short notice fighter, and he is a minus 165. He wasn't short notice.
Moving.
I mean, this might be. I guess it would be like a minus 300, which seems crazy if he wasn't short notice.
Yeah, I'm surprised that line's still moving after how terrible he looked in his last fight. Oh well.
I don't think he looked awful. He landed some shots. Sexy Mexi was just kind of out.
But he literally was just standing there waiting to throw a haymaker.
Is that how you throw a? Let me see how you throw a punch.
He was sitting on it like a child.
Because I've been here like this, and I had Adrian Yanez saying that my head movement looks fantastic. By the way, I tweeted the video of me, shadow boxing. Adrian Yanez, the best boxer in UFC, said, "Wow, that guy's got some fucking hands on him." So I'd like to see if you want to shadow box. We'll send it to Adrian and get his opinion on yours. You and I could box for charity. All I'm asking is a little shadow box, Angelo. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Unlike you, I have full.
Actually, you have. It's kind of interesting. I if I could stand up and really get after it, I would. I have a wall, a lot of space behind you, to get up there. Maybe throw a little head kick action. People would love to see it.
You know what's funny? So I was walking. My daughter stayed home from school today.
I don't think we're gonna get. I don't think we want to sidetrack this. I think
speaking about my athletic abilities. I'm about to talk about my athletic abilities. And she's got it coming out of both ends. She's got some sort of virus. She stayed home from school today. I was like, let's go outside. Let's get some fresh air.
What's his name? That once your Instagram is really getting excited now.
Yeah, all the D. So we're walking the dog, and my ankle caught like the side of the sidewalk. I just fucking ate shit. I fell down. I thought my ankle was going to break. I took all my weight off it. I rolled around. I'm wearing a sweater. I'm covered in leaves. And she just died laughing in my face. And my ankle is throbbing. And she's just cracking up laughing, wiping leaves off of my back.
And you want to put me at plus 400 against that guy. That's what someone said. Angelo has experience. Apparently experience falling down, so it should be easy for him.
It was not my proudest moment for sure. I literally did that, and then the rest of the walk, I'm like, is this it for me? Like, am I just way past it? Just way past it? So anyway.
Way too agile.
The ankle's not great, but frankly, I don't need two good ankles.
I'm like a kitty cat.
I don't need two good ankles to bring your little baby neck.
No, I got submission defenses.
What is this part?
Huh?
Why is this
hand? I'm defending chokes.
Pretty wide open if that's how you're defending.
No, I got the chin tuck because you're choking on this side, so I'm digging into this side. Now you switch sides. I'm digging in this side like this.
Jacob, why don't everybody wants you to do a vlog? Why don't you take up jiu-jitsu?
Why don't you just stand up, back up 3 steps, and throw a couple punches? Very easy, Angelo.
I'm not, as you said, I'm not the dancing monk. Okay. Not happening. Anyway, I don't even know where we are with this. Oh, we both agreed Miles Johns was probably worth the $8,400 in DraftKings. Monkey Knife Fight, again, not touching it. If you want to throw Miles Johns in your Knockout Kings, go for it. Monkey Knife Fight offers a prop game called Knockout Kings. Any 3 fighters, if one of them wins by KO or TKO, you get paid. He's probably a solid play in that double up the main, bang. There's your line. Voice crack. WeOwnPicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit. WeOwnPicks.com/bets. If you use our link to sign up and you make a deposit, we'll send you $50 as a thank you. Next up, At UFC Vegas 65, we have Jennifer Maia taking on Maryna Moroz. Jennifer Maia, 19-9 overall, 2-3 in her last 5. She is coming off 2 losses in a row. Maryna Moroz is 11-3 overall, 3-2 in her last 5. She's riding a nice 3-fight win streak. Both of these women are pretty well-rounded. Jennifer Maia's got pretty good BJJ. Her wrestling is just okay, and her boxing's pretty overrated. Typically, she's going to come out there and just outbox people who don't want to be on the ground with her because her BJJ is so dangerous. But she does have a negative striking differential, and she's coming off that loss to Manon Farrell, where she was just absolutely dominated in the striking. Maryna Moroz is also a very good striker, and she's primarily a striker. But in her last couple of fights, she's worked in some solid grappling. She's got 5 takedowns in her last 3 fights, which just shows how well-rounded she is. And I see a lot of you being like, oh, Maryna Moroz is a grappler. No, she's not a grappler. She is a striker who has added grappling to. You made a stupid face. She's not a striker?
I didn't make it.
I don't even think you realize when you make these dumbass faces.
No, well, I literally don't even, when you talk, I don't even listen to you.
You did this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You did this.
I went from looking at the thing to looking at my tab because I was about to just type some stuff in. Pornhub.
What are you about to type in? Y-O-U-J-I-Z. Anyway,
I'm like everyone else in the chat. We all just kind of, you start talking, everyone's doing their thing, getting dinner ready. I come on the screen, they're fucking locked in.
Okay. Well, then go ahead. Give us your breakdown.
Yeah, Jennifer Maia absolutely dominates this fight.
I
mean, her toughness in this fight is going to be the determining factor. Listen, I think Maryna Moroz is good. I think she, as you mentioned, showed off her grappling in the last fight. But Jennifer Maia is going to be tougher in the striking. Both these girls are, I mean, this is like someone said in the chat. This is low, and, this is one of those fights. Don't bet on Jennifer Maia just because I'm picking Jennifer Maia. I don't think that she's going to absolutely dominate this fight. I think it's a decision fight. She should show the toughness. I don't think the takedowns are going to be there for Moroz. Maybe the takedowns are there for Maia. If it goes to the ground, I think Maia has the grappling advantage as far as like just overall MMA grappling. And in the striking, I think it's kind of a worse, as people in Indiana would say. So my pick is Jennifer Maia, but don't fucking bet this fight. I mean, don't even. If I'm looking at this for like, let me try to find something. Go ahead, you can start talking while I, look for something here that I might like.
I like Maryna Moroz to win this fight. I think Maryna Moroz can win the striking exchanges. I think she can win the grappling exchanges. I think these odds are probably a little bit wide, but I think Maryna Moroz should be the favorite, and I think she wins this fight. I think she absolutely
gets it done. The experience of Jennifer Maia is like, holy shit.
19-9 versus 11-3. It's not like she's got twice the experience.
Yeah, but a lot of her losses, if I remember correctly, are against like tall, long girls like Caitlin Chukagian and what's her name? She just fought too, like Manon Farrell. I mean, she's lost to her losses are to Caitlin.
Losses. They're
Caitlin twice, which not great, but you understand how it happens because Caitlin cheats. She pays the judges. It is what it is. To the champ, Valentina, a 5-round decision of Valentina.
Yeah, those are her last 3 losses.
And
the number
you can't finish the girl.
No, I said it in quick picks. Her last 3 losses are to the current champion, the number 1 contender, and the number 2 contender. She's tough. She's well rounded. She's good. I just think Maryna Moroz is better. Hopefully, the whole Playboy thing doesn't get her sidetracked.
What are you talking about?
Did you forget about that? Yeah. Hopefully she doesn't get sidetracked, and not like it matters that she was in Playboy. Just hopefully she doesn't, I'm going to be famous doing this now instead. Right. So, but I do think what she showed with the grappling, and we know her striking is good. I haven't seen any pictures. Are there actually pictures out? I just saw her saying she was going to be in it. Did it come out yet? I don't even think it came out yet.
Oh.
Don't turn the camera. We'll get in trouble. Don't turn.
Oh, it came. Whoa! Yo, straight up, yo, Maryna Moroz, let me tell you how good Maryna Moroz. I mean, Maryna Moroz, her wrestling in this fight, she's gonna have the wrestling advantage in this fight. She's gonna have the grappling advantage. She's gonna have the overwhelming striking advantage in this fight. If I'm looking at bets and I'm looking at Maryna Moroz in the first round at plus 800, I love that. I'm looking at Maryna Moroz round 1 KO TKO plus 2,500. Absolutely love that. Maybe we're working for a submission or two. We have that at plus 1,200. I love Maryna Moroz in this fight to get the job done first round and get back to doing what she does best, and that is just looking so goddamn good.
Anyway, Spicy Pizza is the best. Said I did all 4 signups, only got paid for 1. Dude, you deposited $25. You got to deposit 50 to get 50. It's very simple. I responded to you.
This isn't hard, guys. Jesus Christ.
He then responded the next day saying, I finished my deposits. You got to let it filter the system, and I'll double check. But it is very easy. We have literally paid, we might have paid over 1,000 people at this point.
Yeah, look at that. Ridiculous. Yeah, I see you looking at it. Go ahead.
Did you just text them to me?
Yeah, open it up real quick if you don't mind.
Oh, but she's clothed.
Well,
what the hell is the point of this?
Look at that. Holy shit.
She's wearing clothes. Those are pointless.
Pointless, he says. What an absolute, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Look, pointless. Oh, can't see teddies. Don't care. Can't see the teddies.
She is a beautiful woman and should be respected as such.
That is the point of Playboy. That's the point.
Beautiful. No, you want to see beautiful women, and I think she's top notch. Is she single, by the way? Sorry, Mackenzie. By the way, Mackenzie, we're still doing our thing. Let me just. Yeah.
Anyway, Maryna Moroz, not worth the $9,000 in DraftKings, even though I do think she wins. Jennifer Maia is a very live $7,200, incredibly live $7,200 on DraftKings.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
$7,200. She's getting absolutely dominated.
I forgot you switched your pick after finding out about the pictures. I'm like, what is he talking about? Okay, well, Monkey Knife by Strike Line, you're probably good with the more and more there. I think they will go at it. I think it's going to be a solid back and forth. Both these women are very tough, not necessarily finishable. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's only $10 a month. We will give you all of our picks, our prize picks plays, all of our bets, the premium member parlay, a Monkey Knife Fight entry, underdog fantasy entry, a DraftKings optimizer, anything you could ever need to make money watching fights. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member.
Yeah, I thought Playboy wasn't even a thing anymore.
It's not now if it's just fully clothed women.
Jesus Christ. Just cancel your membership, huh?
Next up, at UFC Vegas 65, we have a Zhalgas Zhumagulov taking on Charles Energy Johnson. Zhalgas Zhumagulov is 14-7 overall, 1-4 in his last 5 years, coming off 2 losses in a row. Charles Johnson, 11-3 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that insanely one-sided loss in his UFC debut to Muhammad Mokaev, where he gave up 12 takedowns. And you may say, well, Charles Johnson got taken down 12 times in his last fight. Zhalgas Zhumagulov is a grinding wrestler. He's going to go ahead and get his takedowns. And he will. Zhalgas will get some takedowns. He's not going to win this fight, though. Charles Johnson is going to win this fight. He'll get taken down. He'll come back up because while he gave up 12 to Muhammad Mokaev, he defended 14. And he stayed tough. He kept coming. Like, it was very one-sided, but he didn't break in that fight. He's got a huge personality, mostly a striker, solid boxing, solid kicks, decent power, never stops coming forward, great cardio. I think Charles Johnson absolutely gets this done. I think he's a solid price point at $8,700. But there is a world where Zhalgas is just nonstop shooting takedowns similar to Muhammad Mokaev. How could you make that face? You don't think Charles Johnson's going to get taken down in this fight?
I would be very surprised if he gets taken down in this fight, yeah.
That's crazy. I think he gets taken down at least once or twice. I don't think it matters, but I think he gets taken down. I'll bet you. I've been killing you in these one-on-one bets. Killing you.
Well, that's a stupid. I'm not going to take that bet. He can just trip and fall, and then all of a sudden I'm just out money, so I'm not going to take that bet. But I will say that I think that Charles Johnson, this line, the reason why this line is 155 is because of the Mokaev fight. And as Angelo mentioned, people are trying to do MMA math. Oh, this guy took him down. This guy likes to wrestle, so he can probably take him down. So the line is, I think, and I'm going to look stupid on this, I think this minus 155 Charles Johnson line is the best value on this card. I think he absolutely smokes Zhalgas. In that Makhachev fight, he was very, very defensive. He had to be defensive the entire time. Even when he was taken down, I can't do anything offensively because I have to worry about the submissions. This, I worry about the arms, this. Get back to his feet. The guy's immediately on him again. As Angel mentioned, there is maybe a world where Zhalgas doesn't take him down, but is cage control, just kind of holding him against the cage. But I think Charles is way, way too good. And you saw that against Makhachev to be able to get out of positions, and he's able to actually, have some offense in this fight, because Zhalgas is not going to be the Makhachev relentless. And Zhalgas will throw strikes. Makhachev will, dance around a little bit, mostly to get to the wrestling. Zhalgas will throw like fucking haymakers. And Charles Johnson is going to be there with the slick counters, be right there, boom, boom. And we've seen Zhalgas get dropped and finished before. So I am very, 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 very high on Charles Johnson in this fight. I'm loaded up on him. I'm going to look for even more stuff, maybe inside the distance, maybe sprinkle some points there to hedge a little bit. But I'm willing to look stupid on it. I think he absolutely dominates this fight. And they picked this fight for a reason for him.
They did pick this fight for a reason for him. They're expecting him to get the win. I do wish they'd give him a striker, though. This poor guy, 2 wrestlers in a row. Because Zhalgas is pretty relentless with the wrestling.
Yeah,
as you mentioned, the striking is there just to set up the wrestling.
But his wrestling is like, Makhachev is like super aggressive. Even if he gets a body lock, then he's dropping to a single. He's doing for trips. He's just... Zhalgas is more of like a one-dimensional push up against the cage. Okay, yes. I have you on the cage. Now let me try to work for a single. It's kind of more slow motion where Johnson's just going to be like, get his hands out, break the hand lock, get out of there and be able to do what he needs to do.
I agree. I think Charles Johnson wins. I do think it's good value at minus 155. No bet there, but I might end up placing one because, he should win, and that is good value. It is very good value for a guy who's he has a ton of experience in LFA. He's a very good fighter, literally the former LFA champion, which is a decent promotion. So, yes, you in the back.
And I'll give away a premium bet. I know Angela doesn't like to do this, but I'm willing to look stupid about. Yeah, I'll be willing to look stupid about this. The best bet and the best value on this card, in my mind, I could be wrong. That's how I'm playing it. You don't have to tail it. I would, don't do your own research. Is Charles Johnson minus 3.5 at plus 150. I think he should be a 3-1 favorite. I'm getting plus 150 at a minus 3.5. I think he can easily win. If it goes to a decision, win all 3 rounds, defending takedowns, win the striking. But if he gets a finish, you get your bet as well. So plus 150 for minus 3.5 Charles Johnson. I absolutely love that bet.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know that minus 3.5, basically Charles Johnson can win by finish, or if he wins 30-27 on at least 2 scorecards, and then he can do a 29-28 and a third scorecard, he wins. That bet hits. So you're basically selling around. You're getting much better odds. He goes from minus to plus money. So if you think it's a dominant fight, then that's a good way to get yourself some value without having to pick the outcome. You don't have to say Charles Johnson by decision, Charles Johnson by KO. You just know whatever it is, it's going to be dominant, and he's not going to give up an entire round on all the judges' scorecards. Then it's a great way to find some value. Our only partner that offers that, and the only sports book in general that offers anything that resembles that, is BetOnline. So if you go to weonpicks.com/bets, sign up with BetOnline through our link, make a deposit. We will send you $50 as a thank you.
And the reason the odds are the way they are is because they assume that Zhalgas is going to come in and steal around with the wrestling, which I don't think he can. So that's why you get the value on that.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I think Zhalgas is going to get some takedowns. I don't think it's going to be a whole round's worth of scoring, though. I think he'll get a takedown, and Charles Johnson will pop right back up. He's coming off 2 camps in a row where he was training for a wrestler. So I think he's good there. $7,500 for Zhalgas. I don't think he's worth it, despite being a wrestler, and that's the best way to get points in DraftKings is through wrestlers. I don't think he's worth it. $8,700 for Charles Johnson is probably a good value. I don't necessarily know if he'll get a stoppage, but he could, and I think there's some good value there. You think he gets a stoppage? You like him at $8,700?
Yeah, he's gonna be mine for sure. Best value on the card.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna touch the monkey knife fight strike line because 45 is assuming a decent amount of control time because he does have those wild winging punches that don't necessarily land. So he's going to need to get some control time for that 45 to matter. Next up at UFC Vegas 65, we have Jack Della Maddalena taking on Danny Roberts. Jack Della Maddalena, 12-2 overall, 5-0 in his last 5. And he doesn't have a loss since 2016. Danny Roberts is 18-6 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, and he's coming off the decision loss to Francisco Trinaldo. And you might be like, oh, Danny Roberts is a striker. He's got decent boxing, good footwork. He's got okay power. If he lost a decision to Francisco Trinaldo, he must have been taken down and controlled. No. 0 takedowns in that fight. 0. So he was outstruck by Francisco Trinaldo, and Danny Roberts is supposed to be the good striker. And he's fighting Jack Della Maddalena here, who is a very good striker. He has a nice sort of bait you style where he comes forward on his toes, fantastic jab, and as soon as you throw something, couple big steps back, you miss, he resets. Everything he throws seems to have power, even if he doesn't throw it, with power. And Jack Della Maddalena has been looking great, fantastic. His jab is unbelievable. His takedown defense is solid at 66%. He doesn't really have any takedown offense, but he's coming off that win over Ramazan Ameev, where he survived a very close anaconda, but he eventually won that fight by KO. I think Jack Della Maddalena is the closest thing you're going to get to a lock on this card. What do you think, Jackaboo?
Yeah, I just hope that McKenzie can survive an anaconda as well. Jack Della in this fight is definitely the play. He should absolutely dominate this fight. I had the same bet for the Johnson fight that I have for Jack Della to get a little bit better odds. Don't be surprised. Everyone that's going to start chasing, Jack Della inside the distance. Danny Roberts has been around, right? He is a guy that's well-versed, has been around, tough dude, good chin. Don't be surprised if this goes to a decision. So don't start chasing Jack Della, inside the distance. If you want to sprinkle this, sprinkle that, I get it because he is a very, very talented dude. But I would be careful against a guy like Danny Roberts, who's been around the block and is well-versed in pretty much every aspect of MMA. So, yeah, Jack Della is the play. I would be careful chasing inside the distance, but I think my -3.5 at -240 is another bet that is a absolutely incredible value because he can win a decision, or if he wins inside distance, it pays, and you're getting you're getting double the value on the -500 favor, wherever he is now. So, love it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. This is another one sold around. You want to give up 3.5 points, you can make a couple bucks, get a much more favorable line. I do think he's a parlay piece, but this is a hard parlay card. We're really going to be testing the premium member parlay here because it's hard to find 4 fighters on this card that you're confident enough to throw into a parlay. It's a very, very tricky card. A lot of the biggest favorites are women. And then you got the main event, which could go any direction when you have somebody like Derek Lewis. It is a very tricky card. But anyway, I do think Jack Della is as close to a lock as you're going to get here. Monkey Knife Ice Strike Line 45 to 23 should probably be a more because Jack's jab is just there, nonstop there in your face. And 23 is not very many, even though Danny Roberts is probably going to be a step behind this whole time. This is total strikes, not significant strikes. What do you think?
Yeah, your internet is just absolutely taking a shit right now, but I think it's a more play all the way.
What's taking a shit?
Your internet. But it's fine now.
No, well, whatever. I'll have fiber by January. So come January, we're good to go. $9,600 in DraftKings. I do think he is a must play because I think there's the potential for a stoppage for sure. What do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of volume. Even if he doesn't get the finish, I think it's going to be worth the $9,600. He's going to be pressing forward, a lot of volume, and the finish could present itself nicely.
Yeah, I think, you got to chase your most confident win and potential stoppage in DraftKings, and $9,600 for Jack Della. Definitely my most confident pick in the entire card, and definitely very live for a stoppage. So he should be good to go there. And if you want to see that premium member parlay, we have hit it, all 4 legs of it, the last 2 events, which gets you up 10 units. This one is admittedly a very tricky one, but I do think we have it in the bag, at least the first couple legs of it. WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member. It is only $10. Jacob and I gave you 30 units worth of profit last week, another 20-something the week before. So WeWantPicks.com. Become a member. It's only $10 a month. You cover that with one decent weekend. You can pay for many months worth of membership. Next up at UFC Vegas 65, we have Andre Fialho taking on Muslim Salikhov. Andre Fialho 16-5 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off the KO loss. To Jake Matthews. Wrestler Jake Matthews knocked out Andre Fialho. Muslim Salikhov 18-3 overall. He's 4-1 in his last 5, and he is also coming off a KO loss. This to Li Jinglang. Muslim Salikhov is a solid striker. He can wrestle as well. He's a bit older, a bit slower. He doesn't hold much back in his striking. Everything he throws is with power, and he sort of chases those knockouts. He doesn't wrestle as much as you'd like him to, but he does wrestle, and he does have that in his back pocket. Andre Fialho is a striker. He's got a nice jab. He's got decent power. He showcased that power with a win over Miguel Baeza, the knockout over Cameron Van Camp. He will mix up leg kicks, but he keeps his head high. He can be a bit chinny. He's very, very hittable. He always has been, even if you go back to the PFL. And then Jake Matthews, who is a wrestler, just absolutely put him out. This is a really tough pick, a really, really tough pick, because Andre Fialho, I mean, he's younger. He's probably more athletic. He can most likely hit harder. But Salikhov hits really hard. Salikhov can wrestle. Salikhov has more ways to win. And anytime you get a fight this close where neither guy is like a super high-level guy, I got to go with the one who has more ways to win. It's going to be Salikhov, but I don't love it. This is what we're talking about. I might get this pick wrong, but I'm not betting on this fight. Don't just listen to the pick and say, oh, he thinks Salikhov's going to win, minus 105. I'll go ahead. I'll do that. So, I would leave it alone, but Salikhov is the pick. What's up?
I'm trying to figure out. Elizabeth is talking about like how good Andre Fialho looks or something. I don't understand what the hell is going on. That's like the most random dude to be like, oh my God, Andre Fialho is a heartthrob. But yeah, this is a pick and fight for a reason. They haven't even dropped props for this fight yet, because I think it's just like a clusterfuck of like who knows what's gonna happen. They did finally drop the round line, which is 1.5. I think that under 1.5 is going to be enticing for a lot of people at plus 135, but I would be careful with that because Fialho is a guy that just kind of takes his time, plots forward, waits to get hit, and then he starts hitting people. And Muslim coming off a KO could wrestle more, and that the wrestling comes into a factor that could extend it. I actually might look at the over 1.5 is minus 165. I still don't think this fight goes the distance. That's probably the better play. It might be minus 200, something like that. But I think it's probably the safer play for this matchup, because picking either one of these guys is a tough task. Because as I mentioned, Andre Fialho gets hit, and then he starts hitting people. Even against Cameron Van Camp, rest in peace, Cameron Van Camp, would put him on skates and then got knocked out. Everyone seems to put Andre on skates, and then he finds a knockout. That can only last for so long. As you saw in the last fight, he finally got put away. Muslim, I told you guys he was going to get knocked out by Lee. Exactly what happened. He needs to wrestle. He should have the wrestling in this fight. That's why I'm going to pick him, but don't put your money on. If you want to put like inside the distance on one of these guys and just hope and pray, I get it, but probably does not go the distance. Is going to be the play, and stay away from either side in this, especially like if this is like one of those fights you mentioned, like someone's going to come out of this weekend and be like, oh, Andre Fialho ruined my parlay. It's like, why the fuck did you have Andre Fialho in a parlay?
Dude, those comments always kill me. It's like, why did you do that? Why would you do that or anything that resembles that? People love doing it. I think so. Chris Riley, who we have on this show occasionally, I did a betting breakdown show with him. He's a very experienced sports bettor for many, many, many years. He's worked for sports books, fantasy companies, etc. He said something like 90%.
I've also worked for fantasy companies.
90% of sports bets are $5 or less to make like $1,000. It's something ridiculous like that, where it's all small bets chasing massive payouts. And fist fighting is not the sport for that. It's just too many things can go wrong when you're doing 7-leg parlays. Too many things can go wrong. Obviously, you can get some great odds like Jacob tends to find with these plus 2,200 first-round stoppages and submission stuff like that, because it is a fist fight and anything can happen. But there's no reason to be taking these pick'em, anything can happen fights, making them in parlays. With that being said, $5 for a Revenant for premium membership. Can we maybe have a little summary reasoning behind your future bets in the future, maybe even a confidence rating? So I guess what you're talking about is not only do we have all of this week's events and bets and all of that up, if you scroll to the bottom of premium membership, there's future bets. And sometimes that's a week out. Sometimes that's many months out. Jacob had that bet on Sean O'Malley like 4 months. It was just sitting there. So you're saying you want a little bit of an explanation. We could potentially work in a couple sentences there to elaborate on those.
Future bet on Demir because he's going to absolutely dominate that dude Armin. So there you go.
There you go. I don't agree with that, but there you go. $7,900, $8,300. You know, if you feel very confident in either one of these, then pick a side because there's likely a stoppage.
You probably should have one in your lineup, honestly. I mean, you probably should have one in your lineup.
Yeah, no, there's likely a stoppage. Like you said, the bet to play here is does not go the distance. Some sportsbook will allow you to parlay those. That's worth a parlay. Take this, the main event, and the Jack Della Maddalena fights. Parlay those. Do not go the distance.
I disagree with
you
the
could
Jack
probably
one.
make that happen. Anyway, the odds are too close to call. No bet there. Monkey Knife Fight strike line 37 to 52. Nothing there. Nothing there. You can take both of them or one of them, throw them in your Knockout Kings for Monkey Knife Fight. If you don't know what that is, Monkey Knife Fight allows you to take any 3 fighters on the entire card, including 2 fighters who are fighting each other. And if one of them wins by KO or TKO, you get paid. 2 of them, you get paid even more. WeOwnPicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit. So I would definitely give that a go. There's a bunch of knockout potential on this card. So Monkey Knife Fight Knockout King should hit yet again. Next up at UFC Vegas 65, we have a couple of heavyweights. We got Chase Sherman taking on Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Both of these guys with sort of the quick turnaround here. Chase Sherman is 16-10 overall, 1-4 in his last 5, but he is coming off that knockout win over Jared Vanderaa. He was supposed to fight, I think 3 weeks ago, something like, no, on the same card. He was supposed to fight 2 weeks ago, and his opponent dropped on fight night. So fight didn't happen. Waldo Cortes-Acosta, 8-0. He is undefeated. He's coming off his first official UFC win over Jared Vanderaa just 2 weeks ago. But what's important to note is his legs were lit up. Jared Vanderaa just absolutely blasted Waldo's legs, blasted them. And while he took them like a champ, I've never seen anybody take that many leg kicks and just continue to walk forward. There's no way that dude wasn't limping for a good week and a half. There's just absolutely no way. And this quick of a turnaround off that kind of damage, I think it's going to affect him. I actually think Chase Sherman can win this fight. Chase Sherman's a volume guy, comes forward. He's very, very hittable, which is very concerning. But he just comes forward. He found some power. He's fought the best in the division. And if he's going to fight a Waldo with busted up legs, I think Chase Sherman can win this fight. But let me be clear. If there's a full camp here, Waldo should win this fight because Chase Sherman is so hittable. And here's the stats before I pass it over. Chase Sherman gets hit with almost 7 significant strikes per minute. That's nuts. That's not good. That's a lot of damage. And somebody who hits as hard as Waldo could potentially put Chase out. But Chase is traditionally a pretty tough guy, bare knuckle champion. Waldo's going to have damaged legs here. I think Chase Sherman could absolutely get this done. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And coming out of the Waldo fight, I think we watched that Waldo fight live on the live stream. By the way, tuning in live streams, we have a lot of fun on Saturdays, and we make a ton of money. But we were watching that fight live, and we all agreed in the live chat, we are going to fade Waldo from the time, for forever. because that dude is way, way overconfident. He was salsa dancing in the third round of a close fight that he was getting his legs. I mean, he was on the verge. He acted like it wasn't hurting, but he was on the verge of losing that fight to leg kicks. And he's out there salsa dancing, acting like he's just completely dominating that fight. In some aspects, I mean, he kind of did, but he was so like low volume in that fight, just looking for the big right hand, the big right hand, the big right hand against a guy like Chase Sherman. As you mentioned, is tough. Bare knuckle fighting, could come in and just throw those jab, just throw that volume and wear down the guy like Waldo. That's something that Vanessa wasn't able to do. He kind of focused on the legs. And I think he saw the path to victory with the leg kicks and just kind of stuck with it. Didn't quite pay off. If Chase comes in, lights up that leg a couple times, and then all of a sudden the movement of Waldo is compromised and he lays on the volume, I definitely see how Chase can win this fight. Now, my pick, like this is another one of those situations, guys. My pick is Waldo. Do not bet Waldo. Do not put a single cent on this dude Waldo, especially on the favorite money that he has. Like, what are the odds now? It's I mean, minus 220. I mean, I'm not touching the minus 220. I think the value here is in Chase Sherman for sure. But my pick for the fight, this is when everyone's like, oh, your picks are wrong. It's like, I'm telling you right now, my pick is Waldo. I'm not putting money on him. I might sprinkle something on Chase for sure. So that's the way it is. So if somebody goes, oh, you picked Waldo, it's like, fuck you.
I did a little half a unit on Chase. Same exact thing. This is actually the exact same situation with Ryan Spann. I said, I got to go with Dominic Reyes here, but Ryan Spann is stupid live in this fight. Those odds are just too good to ignore. Threw a half a unit on it. I got him at plus 185. Chase Sherman, I threw a half a unit. I got plus 160. So there's actually even better value now. This will yo-yo. I assume this is about maxed out right now because he's going to get too high and then people are going to be like, no, there's value there. And then that line will get pushed back down. So this is probably where it maxes out. We'll see what happens closer to fight night. But, I think Chase Sherman is actually my pick. I'm picking him to win. You're saying Waldo's your pick, but you see how Chase can win. So, I'm a little more confident.
Just give me Chase Sherman. I don't want to pick Waldo. I talked myself out of it. And Chase Sherman might end up being lock of the week at this point. I don't give a fuck. Let's switch our picks. I'm picking Chase. I just talked about why you shouldn't pick Waldo, and then I picked them. Fuck it. We'll pick Chase Sherman. Come on, Chasey, baby. Yeah.
I mean, the big concern is how hittable Chase Sherman. He's very hittable. I just showed you literally statistically. He's got like 11 fights in the UFC or something like that. He's got a lot of fights in the UFC. Actually, he's 4-9 in the UFC. So he has 13 fights, and his average is getting hit with almost 7 significant strikes per minute. That is a high number. Waldo hits ridiculously hard, but I'm imagining he's at 70% mobility. So let's see if Chase can get pretty
telegraphed shots. I mean, these aren't right down the pipes. As somebody mentioned, he's a former pitcher and he throws punches like that. I mean, he cocks those things back and they come. And I have to imagine Chase can see those. He's a pretty experienced dude. So
yeah, so $7,100. I do think there's absolutely value in Chase here. I don't think he'll win by stoppage, but that's so affordable. He's one of the affordable guys on the card. If he's just coming forward, throwing volume, we did just watch him knock out Jared Vanderaa, but if he's coming forward, throwing volume, he could score well there. I'm not going to have Waldo in my DraftKings lineup. Certainly, he's live for a knockout with how hard he hits, how hittable Chase is, but I'm not going to do it. Monday Night Fight strike line 62 to 66. It's probably a more. Chase gets hit like crazy, but he also has good volume, good output. It's probably a more. What do you think?
That's 66 a lot for Waldo. That dude doesn't do anything. I mean, that dude just like sits and talks and taunts and acts like he's winning and then throws one punch and then walks around. Then he starts salsa dancing. I hate that 66 for him, to be honest with you.
I mean, it could be a more or less. Chase is just so hittable. Anything you throw out there is like.
But Waldo isn't a boxer. He's just he's just
a power puncher.
Ugh.
Well, anyway, Jacob has now switched his pick, so we are aligned on that. We're both at least appreciating Chase Sherman's odds in this fight. Next up, we got the co-main event of the evening. We have Jan Cutelaba taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. Kennedy Nzechukwu is 10-3 overall, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that win over Carl Roberson, which did break a 2-fight skid. Jan Cutelaba 16-8 overall, 3-1-1 in his last 5. And he's coming off that submission loss to Johnny Walker. And this is an interesting fight because Kennedy Nzechukwu is a pretty frustrating guy. He's the comeback kid. He has multiple fights in the UFC that he was definitely going to lose and then was able to come back, win by knockout. The dude hits very hard. He's a very good striker, pretty well-rounded guy, but he can be low volume. And there's nothing more frustrating than watching a guy who you know is better, who's landing when he wants to land, and still not throwing. And that can be Kennedy at times. Jan Cutelaba is a grappler. He comes in big, heavy power in his hands, which he does have, but he's looking to grapple. He's a feast or famine guy. He's winning by stoppage or getting stopped. He'll put it on the line. I do think Kennedy Nzechukwu wins this fight. I think he has so much power in his hands. I think he's got good enough takedown defense that it's not going to matter. And we just saw him in his last fight. He went from 0 takedowns in 8 UFC fights to 5 takedowns in his last one. I don't think he should be wrestling here, but we're just seeing the evolution of Kennedy Nzechukwu. So he's big. He hits hard. He's got good takedown defense. And Jan Cutelaba's only chance here is likely to get the takedown, which I don't think he does. So I'm loving Kennedy Nzechukwu here. I absolutely think he gets this done. What do you think, Jakey Boy?
Yeah, this seems like such an obvious Kennedy play that it almost feels like Ryan Spann last week. Like it just seemed like, and I know that you weren't as high on as Reyes on everyone else. So hats off to you for sniffing out the Ryan Spann angle on that one. But for me, I thought the Reyes was like the obvious play. And when I looked at this, I think Kennedy is the obvious play, as you mentioned, to withstand the takedowns. We've seen Cutelaba be very chinny at times, kind of be an idiot. I mean, Cutelaba, to be honest, is probably the better fighter of the two. He's just like an absolute wild man, an absolute idiot, and can get knocked out. So, but in this fight, it feels like this might be one of the weird times that Cutelaba is able to find that weird finish, or because as you mentioned, Kennedy's a hard dude to trust in his own right, the way that he just kind of is low volume. And so
yeah,
this is one of those situations again. I mean, this is one of those weird cards, guys, where it's like, fuck, man. My pick is Kennedy for this fight, but if I'm looking at value and I'm looking for finishing ability, I might sprinkle something on the Cutelaba in like the first round, something like that, something weird, because I don't think Kennedy's necessarily a finisher, and if Cutelaba is able to get the takedowns, then something weird can happen, because he is a pretty tenacious, ferocious dude. If he gets you down, works to a mount position, TKO, and we've seen Kennedy kind of be that shell-up guy at times, which is not good against a guy like Cutelaba. So I know I've been talking up Cutelaba in this breakdown, but my pick is Kennedy. He should be able to withstand the takedowns, maybe find the chin of Cutelaba, but this feels like one of those weird, feels like Cutelaba's due for something. I don't know, just one of those hunches, I guess.
No, listen, I hear you, man. Nothing is more frustrating than, like I said, you're watching somebody with great hands and great power just not throw. Low volume guys drive me absolutely nuts. And if you're looking at the summary numbers here, he's not a low volume guy, right? If you're just looking at, on average, he's landing 4.68 significant strikes. A lot of that had to do with the takedowns in his last fight. And if you watch his fights, you see the opportunities he doesn't take them. He has multiple fights in the UFC where he was literally losing, and bang, there's that one punch to get it done. They finally, thank God, landed the big one and then didn't lose a decision. So I do like Kennedy Nzechukwu to get this done. I think he hits too hard. I think he's too hard to take down. But yeah, low volume guys can be a bit frustrating.
What's the DraftKings on this? Oh, there you go.
$8,800. He's probably worth the $8,800. Because if he wins, it will be by knockout. Because A, he can knock people out, and B, Cutelaba gets knocked out. Like it's you know what I mean? It's like you mentioned the Ryan Spann Reyes. I mean, Reyes was just coming off 2 flatline knockouts in a row, fighting a dude who hits like a Mack truck. This is a similar situation. Jan is coming off a submission loss.
Back-to-back submissions, but yeah.
But he's getting dropped. He's getting rocked.
Like, no, it's not even just... He's a chinny dude. I mean, anyone that wants to talk about... Because I think I mentioned that like in something... Maybe in the Discord or something, I was talking about Cutelaba's chin, and somebody was like, well, he got submitted. He didn't even get knocked out in his last 2 fights. Like, if you think that Cutelaba can take a punch, like, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn.
You've never been to Brooklyn. It would intimidate you.
I
didn't take you to Brooklyn. No.
I would have taken
couldn't
over
handle
that town. I would have taken over
that town. Yeah. Anyway, Kenny Chuck, $8,800 in DraftKings. He's probably worth it. He's probably worth the $8,800. Do you agree?
I have to check. I haven't. Jesus Christ. I mean, there's, like you said, there's a lot of favorites on this card where it's just like things feel a little bit dicey. And we say that, and this is probably going to be the one where it's just chalk the entire way, where every favorite wins. But Jesus, I don't know. Probably because you can't really trust Cutelaba. But at the same time, when you can't trust him, that's usually when those people fucking win their fights.
Well, what's funny about that whole, because inevitably, every time we watch tape, we do breakdowns, we give our picks. There are cards where we're picking mostly favorites. There are cards where we're just all over the place, favorites and underdogs. It's every card is completely different. Look at the fights objectively. But anytime we do a card where we're picking mostly favorites, somebody's always in the comments, yeah, these guys are just picking favorites. And then what happened 2 weeks ago? 14 fights, 13 favorites won. It's just like, yeah. Like, first of all, they're favorites for a reason. People aren't just throwing darts at, like, they're favorites for a reason. Almost every time the favorite makes sense that they're a favorite, and we just find a reason to poke holes in and be like, but this could happen.
That's why Lock of the Week is so ridiculous. That I won 10 in a row. Every single fighter was supposed to lose. Crazy. It's a fucking joke now, but that was quite the run.
Listen,
it makes it even more. It makes it even more crazy now when you see when I lose, I win, I lose 2, I win, I lose 2. I won 10 in a fucking row. That is insane. That is insane.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm with you. I agree. It's just, what's so funny is the people were obsessed with that streak, which I get. You made a lot of people. Somebody did the math. If you doubled, if you took all the money you won and put it on the next one, it literally would have been $1 million if you started with $100 bet. But they ran away very quickly the first time you missed one. As soon as you missed one, they were gone.
I don't blame them.
So
it's a joke now. It's an absolute joke.
Well,
Cutelaba, Lock of the Week.
Monkey Knife Fight Strike Line. This is another one that I am not touching because Kennedy can be low volume, and he frankly doesn't need that much volume if he's landing clean on Jan Cutelaba. But if you want access to all of our bets, we have been absolutely killing it lately. Go to WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's only $10 a month. $10. 10. One decent month can pay for years worth of premium membership. And you did $10 units. Jacob just gave you 20-something last weekend. I gave you a couple more. You're about at 30. That is literally almost 3 years with a premium membership covered by us. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member.
Yeah, your internet is literally just absolutely shitting the bed. You're like frozen like the last like half an hour. I think it's like those like somebody mentioned the chat, like AOL dial-up. Remember you used to download pictures and it's like and you're like just waiting for the titties. It's like you're like, oh, here they come.
It's like I pay for a full gig. I can't. It is what it is. And upload's supposed to be 36 megs, which it's not, because 36 is more than enough for something like this.
How about this?
But
you like this?
Ultimate Fighting Salamander. I will have fiber, full-blown fiber, synchronous gig up and down by January. So
who likes
bear
the
with
hat?
us.
Who likes the hat? I think it's pretty cool.
We should sell
Design
it.
that
Send
myself.
the design. We should sell it.
Design that myself. You like it? I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty clean. I think it's pretty
I
clean.
agree. We should sell it. Okay. Next up, at UFC Vegas 65, we have the main event of the evening. We've got Derek Lewis taking on Sergey Spivac. Derek Lewis, 26-10 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, coming off 2 knockout losses in a row. Sergey Spivac, 15-3 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. That lone loss being to Tom Aspinall. This breakdown is exactly what you think it is. If Derek Lewis wins, it has to be by knockout. If Sergey Spivac wins, it is most likely takedown and submission or takedown and elbow away. Derek Lewis is all hammer and no nail. I would never say that to his face, but We just watched him break a couple fights in a row. Anybody who is willing to stand in front of him and trade, not anybody with a chin who is willing to stand in front of him and trade can break Derek Lewis. They can break him. He's just sitting on the big punches, and when they don't work, he does not have a backup plan. There's no wrestling there. There's no jab. It's just the big punches, and if you can get to him first, if you can take him down, you should have success, but he can literally just bench press you off. So, it's always hard breaking down a Derek Lewis fight because he's basically never the better fighter, but always the more dangerous fighter. So Sergey Spivac is going to be the pick. I'm confident in that pick. I think every single one of us is confident in that pick. But if Derek Lewis separates his head from his body, I don't think a single person would be surprised. And this breakdown is like every other Derek Lewis breakdown we've ever done. What do you think?
Yeah, and the likelihood of that one-punch KO every single fight is just going to get less and less and less. The power is always going to be there, but his speed, I mean, the guy's, 37, 38 years old. The speed, the footwork, everything is going to go less and less. And I have to imagine, and this is going to be kind of a wild accusation, I don't mean any disrespect by it, but I would have to imagine that Derek Lewis, I mean, he was a title contender. I mean, he fought for the interim title versus Gane. He was right there working hard. At this point in his career, 37, 38 years old, for him to get a title shot again after the losses he's had, he'd have to win 4 or 5 in a row. I think he realizes that is out of reach. He always said he was never a guy that was he's always in it for the money. But when you're that close to the title, I think it's easier to work hard in camp. It's easier to do this. And he has been a guy that's very vocal as far as like, I don't like running. I don't like doing this. I don't like doing that. When you're no longer kind of the title contender guy, I think it's harder to wake up in the morning and go to the gym. I don't know if that is, again, these are wild accusations to make, but I think as you're getting older, it's, maybe you just don't work quite as hard. You don't do this, you don't do that. He's already talking about, bad back, bad knees. That's not going to get any better as you get older and training for these fights. This should be a Spivac play all the way. If people, as you mentioned, are sprinkling this and that, Lewis inside this and that, I get it. I just don't think his heart is like 100% in fighting anymore. He shows up, he loads up that right hand, he collects his check, either it lands or he doesn't. As you mentioned, when people match that intensity, he tends to fold. He's not a Tai Tuivasa. We've seen Tai Tuivasa get hurt, get against the fence, and what does he do? He bites down, he fights back, he looks like that absolute warrior. Derek Lewis just doesn't quite have that in him anymore. I think Spivac comes in, gets an early takedown. I don't think he messes around and just absolutely mauls this guy on the ground, because once he starts breaking, you can break this man, and that's going to be my play is Spivac in the first round. I think he gets it done. We'll see what happens. I hope it's somewhat entertaining, but I don't think it's going to be.
It should be. I mean, very rarely is Derek Lewis in a boring fight. He comes out, tries to make it happen, so he's not in boring fights. So
Francis Ngannou fight.
It was boring. It was boring, but there was a finish. That fight like literally broke him. He has not been the same since that fight. Obviously, he bounced back with a knockout immediately, but he's just not been the same since that fight. And, he blamed it on pressure and it was home. And you people in the comments with your conspiracy, well, most of Lewis's loss were in Texas. What? What does that mean?
He said
so
he doesn't like. What's funny is he said he doesn't like fighting in Texas because of the pressure, and then all of a sudden he takes all these fights that are in Texas. He just keeps taking fights in Texas for whatever reason. A lot of people are saying too in the chat, like the smaller cage, he does well in the smaller cage. It's like the smaller cage could work better for Spivac for the wrestling. I mean, he doesn't have to close the distance.
Yeah, you're just overthinking everything. It's literally as simple as Derek Lewis is not very well rounded, but he has insane power that can end the fight at any moment. He's done it multiple times. And I think in my quick picks, I've said we've never seen Derek Lewis dominating a fight, right? We've never seen Derek Lewis winning rounds, ever. Name a fight where Derek Lewis is just winning the striking exchanges, beating him with a jab, winning the rounds, and then gets a fin. No. He's always getting touched up, sitting and waiting, lands it. That's a Derek Lewis fight. So you can't, it's so hard to pick a guy like that who you're just waiting. You're just praying that he's going to land the big shot, because he's not going to land the jabs. He's not going to get takedowns. He's not going to outwork anybody. It's a big shot. He'll always be there. He did it to Volkov. He did it to that nasty wrestler. The hell's his name? Curtis Blades. He'll always be losing until he's not. I think Sergey Spivac gets this done. I will spend the $9,200 on DraftKings. It's about as confident as you can be in anybody who's fighting somebody who hits as hard as Derek, because I picked Tuivasa to beat Derek Lewis. I also picked Pavlovic to beat Derek Lewis. But those were nerve-wracking because those are strikers. And I don't want you in a firefight with Derek Lewis. Sergey Spivac is not a striker. He's not going to be in a firefight. He is going to be shooting, and he will get takedowns. So that's why I'm a little more confident in this than some of those. You agree?
I agree with everything you say at all times.
He gets it. $7,000 in DraftKings. If you think he gets the knockout, then of course, no shit. He'll score. He'll score whatever the round bonus is in that round because he's not going to score any points doing anything else. He throws like no punches whatsoever.
Yeah, 90.
And then
in the first round would be 90, 94 points. Or whatever. Maybe he could get a knockdown. So there you go. There's 100 points because you get 10 for the knockdown.
I don't think he knocks people down. I think they're just out.
Well, they fall
right.
down.
I can't think of somebody he knocked down. They got back up.
I think Volkov he knocked down and then technically it's a knockdown and then he finished him on the ground. So.
Yeah, but it goes down as the finish. It's not a knockout bonus. It's just a finish bonus. So.
I know it's a knockdown and then the finish. You get 10 points for the
I don't think they score it.
Fuck, I don't know.
I'll have to look that up because that is interesting. I don't think they score it. If it's the same chain, I think it's TKO. Anyway.
You could be right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for disagreeing.
Well, this is very easily verifiable. We'll just look it up.
I literally said you're probably right. I'm sorry for disagreeing. Why?
That's right. Yeah. That's the breakdown on the fight. Both of these guys should be in your Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings because Spivac can get a TKO for sure. Derek Lewis, we know, can get a knockout. So you got to throw them both in your Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings.
I'm playing a little bit of a different angle on Sergey.
Well, become a premium member. See what Jacob's doing there. But Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings. That's how you think that goes? Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings. I am going to double this up, and then I'll go ahead and grab somebody else from the undercard, like a Jack Maddalena or somebody like that I think can get it done. If you want to tail that, go to weonpicks.com/MKF. Sign up, make a deposit. They will instantly match that deposit, and you could take home what essentially has become free money with Knockout Kings. Guys, go to WeWantPicks.com and become a premium member. Not only do you get all the bets, all the picks, we're giving you round props. We're giving you future bets. We're doing daily fantasy prop games like Prize Picks, Underdog, and Monkey Knife Fight. We're giving you full comprehensive FanDuel breakdowns, full DraftKings breakdowns, and we have a DraftKings optimizer. If you don't know what an optimizer is, it helps you build winning lineups. WeOnPicks.com. At the top, click become a member. It's only $10. $10 a month. That's $2.50 a week. WeOnPicks.com. Click become a member. And then finally, if you want $10, the hell am I talking about? $50 for free. All you need to do is go to WeOnPicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit, and I will send you $50 as a thank you. And you know what's so funny about this scene right now? What is Jacob actually doing? Do you think he's just curled up in a ball under his desk? Did he crawl away? Like, is he there still? Like, what is he doing right now? Just laying on the floor, like shh, just waiting for me to end it. Anyway, guys, thanks for the watch, and we will see you later this week. I ended it. You can come out now. He's really sticking to this bit. All right, well, I tried to trick him. It didn't work. He's been watching on his phone. Do all the things and make sure you check in tomorrow to see if Jacob is still alive.